35 years now. So I'm working for CERM almost 35 years now. So at business, making MISs for the printing industry and slowly specializing in labels. And I will explain. I've known a lot of new waves in IT.
Well, that is what you can make out of a formal presentation by Gert. And that is unfair because, as I said just before, I think that your presentation was one of the best in our last session in Europe. So, but you know, sometimes you just to take an hour and put that into 30 seconds. That is not always easy.
No.
So, welcome to the second session here today, the 12 p.m. session about CERM and all the things that you're going to talk about. And I really appreciate that you took up upon my suggestion to invite a few of your customers to talk about CERM, because instead of having only your words, I sometimes really like to have the opinions from people that actually uses it. You just program it, right?
Yeah, that's it.
So, and I also want to welcome my dear friend Deborah. She has been moderating chats and spreading the good words on LinkedIn. And I hope you see your names has been spread quite a lot this week and also last week. And
it is.
Absolutely. There is a purpose for that, because we want to have attendees coming in and watching what you have to say. So, Deborah, do you know any of these gentlemen?
Jordan looks really familiar to me. I'm not sure where I might have seen him around the way. So does Brad, honestly, too. Probably LinkedIn people or at events. But CERM, in general, is like one of those booths they always passed in Label Expo. And I was like, wow. What is this place? What does it do? And as a matter of fact, when I got lost, CERM was my place. I'd be like, I'll meet you at CERM because I know where that is. Because it was always a big one. But before, as Morten said, my role here is pretty limited. I'm not a technical person. I'm a print customer. So I like what comes out of the machine, not necessarily how it gets out of the machine. But attending these sessions during this week has really opened up my eyes to a lot of things that, I didn't really realize had to work together, and, things of that nature, which, you don't necessarily need print customers understanding how to make the sausage, as we say in the United States. But something that's kind of interesting, and I just want to throw this out there before I kind of duck into the background, is certainly with the pandemic raging and printers looking for opportunities, labels and packaging comes heavily into the conversation. And certainly workflow is part of that, but so is creating a business around it, So maybe we can just start this conversation with laying a little bit of a landscape of who should even be considering entering this. And then that ties into how to manifest it through the workflow for people who might be looking for a new opportunity. And then also for people who are already there to understand how you can enhance their productivity and profitability.
That's a rather heavy question, and I guess people that are in wouldn't honestly be looking forward to have a lot of new people coming in, since they're there. So why would you have more competitors? That's, I guess, an honest answer. And otherwise, it is indeed in this pandemic, and that's what we hear from our customers, packaging, which is doing very well, since people are more consuming out of supermarkets. And that is what, let's say, packaging companies are suppliers of supermarkets and stores and shops. And that's why cosmetic or products, for example, are doing a little less. Automobile is doing a little less, but everybody's supplying for food or such things is doing very well. And that's probably a difference with commercial print, where let's say orders really came down.
That makes sense, doesn't it, Deborah? I mean,
I don't know. I mean, if everybody's looking for an opportunity, I mean, are you basically saying you only talk to people who are already in this space and you're not trying to prospect with new customers?
No, that's not what I wanted to say. Indeed, we have quite some starters in the label business, since it's fairly easy now to have a digital press and a web shop and start. And that looks easy in labels as well, although web shops and business to consumer is not so widespread, since who would order 40 labels for his strawberry jam, for example. But let's say it is getting easier and easier, and that is thanks to products like workflow and standard web shops and standardization and automation that we are offering, that more and more off-the-shelf products are available also for newcomers.
Okay, Morten, I've got one follow-up, and I promise I'll leave.
Okay, good.
So based on that, and with one workflow might not fit all, because somebody doesn't just get into labels and packaging and all of a sudden they're printing for Nabisco or Kellogg's. It does not happen. But to your point, they might be printing for John, who creates jam in his basement. So, or his commercial kitchen, because we don't want to assume that John has health violations. But he's in his garage with this. So is your workflow, I guess, adaptable? Is this workflow adaptable to different outputs and different needs and things like that?
Yes, definitely. That's one of the things that will be discussed indeed, since not one company is exactly the same. So it is adaptable, not to any need, since let's say we bring out a standard product. Like a press can print many things, but you cannot just go from left to right or from right to left in the other day. It is a kind of standard, but adaptable. Yes, indeed.
Okay, beautiful. Sometimes that gets left out of the conversation, so I just wanted to make sure that whether someone is trying to print 500 labels at a time or 5,000 labels at a time or 5 million, there might be a solution, a workflow solution for them through you guys. So I'm going to duck behind the scenes now. And sorry, Morten, I took up a little extra time, but I'll be in the chat if anyone needs help.
No problem.
I will teach you a little bit later the difference between MIS and workflow. So that is fine. No, that's just kidding. Sorry, guys. Obviously, you have chosen to work with CERM in relation to your. I think you use it for pricing and for planning and these kind of things, right? Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. How long time have you been customers with CERM?
Want to go first? Perfect.
Yep.
So we've been working with CERM for a little over 3 years now, and actually that was my introduction into the label business. I was hired on, had some time to learn the business a little bit, and then this was my project, the implementation of CERM. And it's going well. So
that's good.
Accomplished, I guess. Yeah.
That's great. And Jordan, have you worked with CERM for a long time, or?
Brad,
I appreciate your answer. We're kind of in a similar time frame. We've been about 2 years now, a little over two years. So yeah, we're solidly. We've implemented. We're using it, so we've got a really good understanding of what's going on.
That's great. I can't help think about, because I'm teasing you a little bit now, because a few days ago we had a conversation, and right now I have forgot who it was with, because we had so many. But I remember the subject we were talking about, because basically the person was talking about the increased productivity and the increased profitability by using IoT and smart factory in their work. And then we spoke about, okay, so where did they come from? They were a commercial printer, and basically all the quotes came from being handwritten to be automated. So I would say that if you have handwritten quotes, I think that your productivity gain should be millions of percent regardless. So when you guys started with CERM, where did you come from? Did you come from handwritten and Excel-based pricing and planning, or where did you start? You can start with you again, Brad.
Oh, okay. You want me,
Brad,
or Jordan? Jordan, you want to go ahead and start?
Sure.
Sorry.
Yeah. So,
sorry. I mixed up. Sorry, that's my fault. Sorry. Yeah.
So InfoLabel, we ran with a program called Program Solutions, and we basically had that from the start. And alongside of Program Solutions, there was more handwriting and more manual reentry of things, and we really didn't want to do any of that, which makes CERM very beneficial from redundancy's sake. But yeah, Program Solutions, it's actually the timing, because shortly after we onboarded with CERM, I get an email saying that the program is not going to be supported anymore. So
that's fantastic.
Yes,
you just love those kind of messages, right?
Yeah. So the timing couldn't have been any better.
Okay, but fortunately, CERM is around, and you are still getting support, right?
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. No more handwriting. Everything's digital now. So
let's move to the real Brad this time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just 96 we started, and it was your typical kind of, a small group of people using a bunch of different tools and forms and spreadsheets, and it just kind of worked because everyone knew what was up, and that made sense. In 2008, we said, all right, we got to up our game. We partnered with a local company that had a web-based solution for ERP, which was really cool because we could do radio buttons and drop downs, RFQs in the parking lot after seeing a customer. Really cool stuff. Unfortunately, we were 1 of 12 users, and that company didn't make it. So we had this customized solution. I think it's kind of a common story. You end up with a customized solution, and there's one person supporting it. Very expensive. Also, the threat of, hey, can we do this? Can we do that? You end up with a Frankenstein because, well, yeah, we can, but are people asking, should we, Right. So we kind of ended up there with a Frankenstein. Oh, my goodness, what are we going to do? And we made the transition to, a product that was going to meet our needs, industry specific, shared, by many, which I really appreciated Deborah's question, because it's not a threat to me if someone else is using CERM. I don't like to compete against people that have bad math when they're doing their costs. We'll compete all day long, but I don't like to compete against someone that's got a spreadsheet that doesn't consider all the costs.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I think that you have just spoken to 990,000 printers and converters in the world. So welcome to the. So I suggest that you take on. I don't know what you exactly are planning to do. You have. I think I uploaded the presentation. We have that.
Yeah. I have how it works. Slides. I have 5 slides, and then I've prepared indeed some questions for Jordan and Brad.
I knew it. So therefore, I will turn off my camera and microphone, but I will listen, and I will join you for Q&A afterwards. Okay?
Yeah. Thank you very much. I will share my screen and have a very small presentation. Yes, you can all see it. And just introduce CERM, introduce the 2 companies, and then go over to the questions. So CERM is developing, selling, and implementing an MIS system for the label printing industry, which includes flexible packaging, tickets, booklet, labels, piggyback. So that's a little bit our world. And if you look at what MIS exactly is, it is in fact covering the domain from reporting in BI, ERP functions, administrative workflow, as you could call it, and touching up to production with schedule, shop floor data collection, and connections to machines of many of our partners, finishing, press, paper suppliers, tool suppliers, camera inspection, and also we consider ourselves was a little bit the spider in the web of all our companies. There was a European session, and Morten was referring to it, and you can see the recording on INKISH TV. It was somewhat more theoretic than today, and the conclusion was that we will see more communication, more tools and data sets in the year to come. We see press manufacturers creating cloud platforms. We see new modern APIs coming and probably even leave the graphical arts standard called JDF, Job Definition Format, and still some devices will stay local for years. So our conclusion in that presentation was in going to more automation and Industry 4.0, it will be impossible with an MIS like ours as a spider in the web. And I compared then with power around the world. Everywhere you have power, you just need a multiple plug to be able to connect everywhere. And we made the same mistake at the other end of the power in supplying power to our laptops with these type of converters. And then we again made the same mistake with USB and mobile phone power connectors, and we are making the same mistake again. So you can already hear that I'm in favor of more standardization in these interfaces. This session with two of our customers is there because the most heard question after the European sessions was, how do I prepare myself for that bright Industry 4.0 future? So we have Jordan and Brad, and they both want to propose who they are, a little bit their company, since that is interesting and important. So please, Jordan, can you shoot before we start asking questions?
Absolutely. Thanks for the introduction. As you can see by the slide, we're located in upstate New York, just a few hours north of New York City. Whenever anyone asks where you're from and you say New York, everyone assumes you're in the city, but there's more to it than that. So we have been in business for over 25 years now. We're up to 38 employees, and we've always tried to see what was new, tried to see what is coming, and be the leaders on the innovation side of things. And that works with both presses and with software programs. So as you can see, we have 3 different versions of printing presses. We have a hybrid solution, the Gallus Label Fire. We have 2 HP Indigos, 6000 series and an 8000 series. And we have 3 combination Flexo screen presses. And then in the bottom right corner, just a snapshot of some of the programs that we use with integration, CERM, ESCO, UPS, and QuickBooks.
Thank you, Jordan. Brad, your turn. I found a picture of your nice team at Advantage.
Thanks. Thanks for doing that here. And that's those are the people that make it happen. Those are most of our team. Founded the company in 1996. We've grown to 52 full-time employees. We have 1 location in Grand Rapids, Michigan. We'll do about 18 million in revenue this year. We have a bit of a unique model. About 50% of that is product that we manufacture. We have 6 different narrow web printing technologies. The other part of our revenue is items related to labeling. So thermal transfer printers, color printers, software. We do a ton of service. We have a full-time service department with a team of people that do a remote login, on-site service to support our labeling solutions. So that's a big part of what we do. Have that breadth of solutions, and we're big on relationships. That's what's fueled our growth.
Thank you, Brad. I will stop sharing. Question first for Jordan. I guess most companies are afraid of switching their MIS systems since it has an impact on the complete company. Was it that bad, that switch to CERM?
It's not that bad. It's not that scary. No, CERM did a great job. They helped us transfer our data. They extracted all the data out of whether it be our program solutions program or our accounting program. They turned that and they massaged that to work with CERM's database. So we were able to import a lot of our information, which definitely limited our amount of manual entry that we had to do. You know, it had the scheduling time frame that they give you. We ended up having a shorter scheduling to get up and going. So all in all, it was very smooth. Can't say enough about the people that were on site and virtual helping us get to where we needed to be on the install.
Brad, would you do it again?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been a huge part of our growth. We're designing our future around the backbone that we've created. Yeah, the things that made the difference for us, we had support from the mothership, you know, at CERM, but primarily that played out through the people we had on site asking really good questions. The beauty of working with CERM, from what we've heard from others, is just you're working with one primary individual that has a depth of knowledge of the entire system versus that being parsed up between a number of people. So we really appreciated that. Our implementer asked some really good questions, and some of those we didn't follow good advice. I will just admit. I think some of the, one example would be this feeling like, oh, we need to bring everything in that we had. We need that. It's like that vine we didn't want to let go of. And you know what we should have done is taken the opportunity to let's clean house. Let's get consistent descriptions. Let's get rid of obsolete items. But there was kind of this momentum that we just needed to have everything come over. But we worked through that and around that. But yeah, I feel like we would certainly do it again. I feel like we're using a lot of the available features and turning them into benefits, and it's helping us focus on, our core business.
Thank you. So let's say leaving what you had behind is sometimes difficult. What was your stumbling or your biggest stumbling block, Jordan, in that implementation?
Overall, it went very smoothly. Every step of the way, I can't say that there was a solid stumbling block that we had. To go from one program like Program Solutions, which is in my experience a little more archaic, a little more cumbersome, switching to a new interface. Really, the primary thing was training, getting all the employees up to speed on what buttons are where. We went from not having computers on the floor to having a computer station at every press. So our operators had to become familiar with the programs on the computer, which was they did a very good job. I can say it could have gone many different directions, but I'm very happy with my team's ability to learn quickly. But I guess the biggest thing was just becoming familiar, getting your routine down. Yeah.
And if you now look back on those 3 years, what would be your most remarkable difference, let's say, now that you are familiar with everything and everybody has, let's say, that muscle memory of the new software? What is the biggest difference for you? You noticed?
Yes, it's hard to pin down on one, but I'll go with the amount of time saving that CERM has given us. The ease of being able to recall historical products, not having to retype everything over and over again. We used to have to type in on the job level, and then in pre-press, and then in shipping, retyping everything as we went. CERM, you only have to type it in one time. It carries over as long as you're integrated properly. It carries over from step to step, system to system. It cut down on our job entry process phenomenally. We used to have our customer service reps would be working 12-hour days, taking homework, taking folders home with them, processing the jobs at home after they ate dinner, and now they can work 8-hour shifts. So it's definitely a big time saver there. We're seeing a phenomenal mood change. People are happy that they can go home and not be overstressed, overburdened. So
can imagine.
Yeah.
Brad, what would be your most remarkable difference before, after?
Yeah, well, I would agree with Jordan on the efficiency standpoint. I mean, that was huge and much appreciated. For us, the number one thing I think was the access to and confidence in data, information that we need to make good decisions. We just didn't have that prior. Well, we did a lot of seems like, feels like decision making. And now we've been able to move beyond like seems like, feels like. We still use that gut check to put our focus on something, but then we can go and say, is it true? Go into CERM, go into the data. We'll probably get into some of those aspects of what we can see and how we can see it. But I would say the access to information and the quality of the data that we have has been the best thing for us.
If you would take that to the word communication, in what way did the communication internally or externally improve, Brad?
Yeah, well, this is kind of a funny way to think about it, but the pathways between people's offices, like there's less wear and tear on the there's a lot less walking around. And of course, in the days of COVID in 2020, that's especially useful because the information's just there. It presents on its own, or it's accessible. You don't need to walk with your, whatever in hand and say, hey, it's there. A lot of efficiency there. Yep. Communication way up, as long as you know where to get the information. That's usually it. It's not, can we get the information? It's just, how do we get to it? Yep. And then figure that out.
Thank you, Jordan. If you look at communication internally or externally, how did that improve?
Oh, it was night and day. The ability to have a PC all over the plant floor. You can have we have shop floor data collection, which gives us a bunch of additional information that we didn't have before. Operators can pull up an image of the product on their computer to double check items. They can pull up the job ticket if they need to. The pandemic and the way things are working now, we have people working at home. If we were still with our old program, I don't know how we would be able to do that. So much need to be on site, manual entry, so much hard paper. But now, I can click a button here, send an art file to pre-press and get it proofed, no problem. I can create a job ticket, have it show up, material allocation. It's amazing how connected you are now.
Yeah. So there you touch already the point of, let's say, connecting with other systems. You talk about your pre-press system. What did you do, let's say, the implementation of CERM first, and then who did you connect to that, let's say, internal network?
Yes. So CERM was our first brain. CERM is our brain, I guess I should say. So we got that up and running. And then as we got familiar with it, which was pretty quickly, we started looking into other programs to work with it. And ESCO is our press proofing program. So we quickly hopped on board with that. Just the amount of information that can go back and forth, the amount of connectivity between emailing, status updates. It's amazing how much they can talk back and forth to each other. And the time savings. Alongside of ESCO, we had a new accounting program put in, which we can automate our invoices to go from CERM straight into QuickBooks. QuickBooks is the program that we use. So with the click of a button, we can create an invoice, press a button, and then it's populated into our QuickBooks program.
And probably through ESCO and thanks to that connection, you are also driving your digital presses, I presume.
Absolutely. Our HP digital presses, they can communicate to ESCO and they can communicate to CERM, color strategies, color books. We have the ability to look at an image and see how many colors are required. If it can go 3-color, 4-color process, it tells you the delta of color based off of the different print outputs. Truly amazing, the ability to talk to each other and have that level of communication to know what this is how well your image is going to print on our press just by dumping a product file on it. It's very impressive.
Thank you, Brad. If you would enumerate which the automation steps are you took in your company.
Sure. Well, they just real quick on the accounting did something similar to what Jordan talked about. We with Macola, and that is interfaced. On the production side, we chose to go with hybrid, so that would be comparable to ESCO. So the job data file, the JDF, is in there. We can easily get that to our digital front end, the DFE for our Mark Andy hybrid press. We have another digital press as well. We have actually 6 different digital technologies to print. And the key to making that all work was really to have people we could count on, because we don't have a bank of engineers to make the, IT. We have partners we can trust. And between CERM and hybrid and Mark Andy, we had good conversations and got it figured out and got it working. So that was a key part of it.
So that was not a really tailor-made job. There were no engineers developing things at your place. It was kind of their experience brought together and just you needed to implement it.
That's right. We relied heavily on their advice for sure.
Yeah. And if you now look back on that, let's say those steps, CERM and that automation, would you, since that's the most interesting, I guess, for the audience, would you be able to measure the difference in some quantifiable figures? Like Jordan already mentioned, from 12 to 8 hours a day is 30% better if I can calculate right.
Absolutely.
Brad,
yeah.
What would you say, Brad?
Yeah, good question. And that's something, when we grew from small to larger and you needed to add people, it's like, well, how are we going to know if, we really need someone, and how do you put numbers around that? So we look at revenue per person, profit per team member, those sort of things. And interestingly, that number you mentioned, that's right around where we ended up with the 30% efficiency gain. As I mentioned, our revenue numbers and our employee numbers, that's just way better than it was. And it was through integration. It was through having better information. We have the direct machine interface on our presses, so we can actually test our, costing. Did the cost that we expected and that standard cost, did we actually get that? And we'll probably get into that, but those sort of things just help us be much more efficient, get that number. But that's pretty exciting to see the revenue and profit per individual. I mean, those are real numbers. There's no way. It's not like an overhead number where it's like, well, what goes into overhead? That can be a little more difficult. It's like, what's your revenue? How many employees do you have? What's your profit? How many employees? Pretty tangible numbers, and it feels good to see those actually go up pretty steadily over the last 2.5 years.
Yeah. 30% is a nice figure, and from 12 to 8 hours, Jordan, is the same. But I remember you also grew. Did you need to hire extra persons to be able to grow? Since that's also a nice question to ask.
Well, with CERM, you streamline processes, which eventually builds capacity. It makes everything go faster, so faster in, faster out for us. We actually ended up hiring some new people. We had some space and some need for it because of the capacity that was added in, which is phenomenal.
Yeah. And Jordan, do you think you are at the end of the line of automation now, or are you looking forward to new projects and adding more of that to be even more efficient and productive?
Never stop growing, never stop moving forward. We are looking into inspection programs that can interact with CERM. They basically tell you where in the print you have errors, and they communicate with your inspection machine and stop at the error, which is impressive. And we're working on more online programs, so like online proofing, and this goes with ESCO, share and approve. We're getting going with that. Just every way we can streamline. It seems like automation and the software that we already have on site just gives us the ability to just keep looking here, looking there, and there are always these little platforms that you can kind of get involved with to help.
Thank you, Brad. Do you have more plans, or is this the end?
Never the end. We love innovation. We love new technology. However, as a team, we're generally conservative in our approach. It's kind of we're a bit of a skeptic. We want to see something play out and be proven in the marketplace, and then we adopt. So we're not that first front lines adapter. We're one or two steps back from that, but that seems to be a sweet spot for us. We know our market. We know what people are willing to pay for. Frankly, we don't do a lot of pharmaceutical or things that require really, like 100% inspection, for example. But we want some inspection, and that's one of the areas we're moving beyond. Like, what are the, what's the right solution for us with a camera and software solution that's not going to hobble us or drive a bunch of extra costs, but yet still let us catch those things that, really need to get caught for our customers.
Yeah, there's definitely a line there. You can get this program installed, and then you end up stopping yourself more. So it's definitely there's definitely a line to dance on what's too much and what's too little, and to find that it's going to be very important going forward. But yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, a lot of times you go. I mean, I've been into a number of places where, the cameras are turned off, the inspection. It's mothballed because it hobbled the line.
Right.
I frankly was a little concerned, like when we first 2 years ago, we're like, we're going to do this direct machine interface. I'm like, yeah, are we going to use that? First, it's up and running. You can walk in there today and see it doing its thing.
Hmm. Guys, I know that it's a wonderful conversation, and I'm just wondering, these two actors that you have hired, Gert, were they expensive? No, sorry. I'm just thinking it must be wonderful to have clients that are so satisfied with everything you do. And of course, I know that you would never pick any bad stories to present on a show like this, which I am sure that we all have our favorites, right? So I'm not saying anything about that. I'm just saying that what I like about this story and what I like about the conversation is it seems also that you have a personal passion for making sure that it works. And for you, Gert, is that something that you actually emphasize in your company, also to have that personal relationship that it seems that you have with these guys?
And yes, indeed, I will answer two things. First of all, we are a software company, and that is people business. There is nothing else than people. So internally, we need to work together to be able to get a software that is working, and that spirit of working together. In fact, we are as well, let's say, trying to bring that out there with our customers, and that's more fun than being, let's say, just let's say someone somewhere. And the second thing is, and that may sound weird, but the customer selects us, but we also select the customer. We also dare to say, sorry, but that project is not a project for us. There is too many differences, or they do not want it, or for the wrong reasons. So we are also selective in who we choose, and because we have a long-term relationship, you see this throughout the dialogue. CERM will bring new versions twice a year, and our customers, in that subscription model we have in paying constant update money, we need to work with them in 10, 20, 30 years, and that's the target. So we need to be, let's say, friends almost.
Yeah. That sounds totally reasonable. Brad and Jordan, I was wondering, because one of the things that I worked in a printing company where that was a commercial printing company where we were investing in a new MIS system. And what I appreciate about what you say is how easy it has been for you to implement and get things going relatively fast. I was just wondering, before you came to the decision about using CERM as your supplier, what was the process before? I was thinking about, did you do like really in-depth pre-qualification and all these kind of things that you need to use in order to buy the right software solution? Or how did you get in contact, and how did you get to that point where CERM was the supplier for your companies?
So we definitely did some research. We looked around and saw what was out there. And then what CERM has that divided itself from the other programs was its user face and its reporting were, for us, very, they stood out. The reporting it's amazing what types of reports you can get out of this program. And now we're working with Smart BI as well with CERM, which just makes it even more accessible, even easier to.
So there's still some catch to the Heidelberg family, right?
Yes, but no, I mean, there were definitely other programs on the list. We went through, we did some research, we did some trials. We kind of saw what would the workface be, the interface be, how does it mesh with where we are already, and what do we really want to get out of it? And what CERM provided was it gave you the second level. It gave you this the ability to see how you're doing, what needs improvement, and that was a big advantage for us.
And you, Brad?
Well, that's an interesting question, Martin. I had not thought about that in quite a while, because it's been like 3 years back when we did it. But we really did go nuts on that aspect of it. We kind of like, hey, it's only paranoia if you're wrong, and we don't want to be wrong on this. I mean, there was 3 other providers that we're looking at. 2 of them big ones in the industry. One kind of more basic. One full, the big dog. Went out to Vegas, went to their seminars for their user conference, sat in the room. And then we hired a third-party outside consultant that had been through many implementations, because we were doing this once, and we're talking to professionals that sell software to guys like me every day. It didn't seem like we were set up to do well with that. Anyway, had the third-party consultant come in. He set up a structure where every individual writes their day in the life, and that was their scorecard. Each of the candidates did a 4-hour overview of their product. We picked the top 2. We had them actually come in for a 2-day presentation to our team, and they went over the scorecard of, will it do it? Yes. And it was quite involved, and that's how we ended up with where we're at.
Fantastic.
He made you work, Geert.
Yep.
Yeah. So that also means that, Brad, from your perspective, it sounds like that, because one of the things that I experienced in the printing company I used to work for when we did the change was like a top-down management decision. And that went all wrong, because nobody took ownership of everything. So that sounded like your approach was like taking ownership, and that everybody in your company take ownership of each process, right?
That's exactly where we ended up. And frankly, I'm just going to say that a lot of our competitors or people in the industry, it does seem to be like a decision is made at the top. It's handed to someone to implement, They're not given the time or resources. So what happens is it doesn't matter who has the best software, because they come in and once they get to that tipping point of it's kind of working, we can run our business, they stop. It's kind of like when you get the new cell phone and you just learn how to dial calls, but it's like there's all those other cool things.
I thought you were about to say how to get it out of the box, but you moved ahead. Okay. So we actually got a few questions here. So should we take it from his audience? We have from John Dulce. He is the first question is, I'm just reading, are the streamlined processes part of CERM or separate programs from the CERM modules?
Do not quite understand. But indeed, let's say the red line, as you can call it, within the software is one. And let's say all, in fact, it would not be possible almost to use a third-party ordering system within our system. So you need the complete chain. Of course, we are changing that toward the API future to be able to connect third-party things, but the core production will always remain with us. But since there are so many details to exchange that it is impossible. But today it is one, let's say, chained flow from start to the end.
And John,
just on that one real quick,
sure.
That was something that we saw. One of the options was a software solution that had grown by acquiring different solutions, and there were many modules, and you had to talk to different people to integrate different things. And with CERM, that was something that caught our attention. It seemed like, okay, this has been designed over 20 years with a group of people.
Yeah. So there's a consistency also in both the user interface, but also how it integrates with each other, right?
Yeah.
John continues, does CERM have pharma label production modules and integrations?
Farmer, sorry?
I think it's pharmaceutical, right? I mean,
we do have quite some customers that have a pharma department or completely pharma production. So some do GMP, some do quality certificates, quality checks. Yes, indeed, we do.
Okay. And then we got a question from Lee Gishan. Do either of the guests have any comments regarding web for labels?
Not yet, but it's definitely on the list of things. Just to be able to have that portal, that interface for current customers or prospect customers to be able to go to automatically. You have them put in their data, so you don't have to, basically, and then it stores it there, and it's an easy way to communicate back and forth without a customer service rep or people really needing to put too much time into it in the office.
To follow up on one of the things that Deborah asked, do you see also in the label industry a move towards more changeovers and lower volume and all these things that you see in all the aspects of print right now, that even maybe the personalized print, is that something that you see in your operation as a growing demand from brand owners? Brad?
Definitely.
Okay, definitely.
And to be able to, every customer, big or small, they all take time, and you always want to give them as much time as they need. So it's important to have the background programs going that can pick up the little bits and keep track of the little bits that that you don't necessarily need to keep on your screen all the time. So having CERM and these other accompanying programs, being able to store that information and focus on really the communication that's necessary between the larger and the smaller customers, it's very helpful.
And what about you, Brad? Do you see also a change in the demands from customers in relation to smaller print runs and personalized print and mass customization in general?
Yes and no. I mean, our largest customer, we don't have any customer that's more than 5% of our business, and we work in many different industries. So there's a lot of things happening on a lot of different channels. But, if we're looking at food items, consumer items, there's not as much, there's not like a big growth of unique individual label items, but there's more changes. It seems like the font sizes are smaller, and there's legal requirements, there's different marketing influences. So it's changes that used to happen every 6 months. Maybe they happen every 3 months now.
Things are definitely moving faster now.
Yeah. So, Gert, in your last session with our Smart Factory in Europe, you spoke quite a lot actually about some of the the deeper kind of level of integration, where we spoke about JDF versus API versus all these kind of things. In relation to the changes in demand that a lot of people and also analysts are looking into in the future, do you think there's an extended need from you as a software developer to create something where the need is maybe not right now, but you believe that it can be taken in that direction within a certain time?
Exactly. So that is a logical evolution that we will connect in different ways, in modern ways, in faster ways, that we will connect more, since people that were not thinking of joining an IT or computer arena, they are today. So that is logical evolution. So we are working to that. The most important lesson today, and for people asking what do we do, is to start right now with what there is already, since you will need to face an evolution. It is impossible from a handwritten quote to go to Industry 4.0 just by buying a software, but you can from handwritten go to typewriting, go to computer, but you need to, and that's probably that's my favorite, is to think about how that will affect your people and the type of people you need. And in the pre-discussion with Brad, he also emphasized that that his HR and who he recruits, and probably he can answer has changed lately. Brad, you can probably answer that, how you look at hiring people and switching people within your company for the future.
Yeah, well, that's happened in particular related to what we're talking about, but just in general, we've really seen the importance to having a solid team, that works well together. It's, we're talking about the implementation being easier, going smooth. I mean, I can't really say it was easy, we got there. It's challenging, and you need people, and you need to begin with the end in mind, and there's got to be space in the day for it to happen. And there's got to be a goal out there, a stake that's we're not going to stop until we get to that point, because it's kind of easy to get distracted by the regular stuff in the day and kind of be good where you're at. And you're kind of leaving a lot of opportunity on the table. And, the management can't run around and spin everyone's plate on that. People that are there need to be passionate about doing good stuff, right?
Yeah. And you will see that we will have to hire, printing industry will have to hire more and more computer operators than craftsmen. And that is something we all need to be aware of. This, if we are talking to more automized things, then the difficult decisions will remain for the human being. The easy decisions will be taken by the computer and by the machines, but the difficult decisions will remain. So it will not get easier for the people. Sometimes we think that in having more computers, we can put, let's say,
the same people to work, basically, right?
Let's say even more simple people to do not know whether I used the right word, but that will not be true. The more we will have computers, the more people will have to take difficult decisions and deal with the exception.
We have actually a few more questions, and I have one thing that I just want to take before, because we're soon running out of time. A question, I think it's for you, Gert. In a very big part of this smart factory thing is also the considerations that a lot of vendors and printers are talking about, lights out production. basically unmanned production equipment. Is that also a mantra in the label and narrow web industry?
Of course, already today on digital presses, you do not run job per job. You can run series of jobs, sure. And the soon as we will have in Flexo as well automatic plate changes, for example, then we will get there. Yes, and it is true that offset is a little easier for those things than Flexo, but still we will get there, and that will follow. Sure.
Very, very last common question is from Peter DuPont. One of the strengths of CERM is having implementers that know not only the software, but as well the label industry. How important was the combination for both of you? How did that help with the implementation and with the future of the company? That's a good question, right? And we have 2 minutes, so 1 minute to each. Jordan, you start.
It was phenomenal. You're not working with just a software person. You're not working with just a software guy. You have a guy that has knowledge of the field. He's been there on the front lines. He has that experience to know what people will ask, what you might stumble on. So to be able to take that, grow with the software, and to be able to bring both of those together, it definitely helps make sure that some of the questions are already taken account of, and they have the knowledge to develop with you and take on the specific tasks to your company.
And Brad, do you concur, or how do you feel about that?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. What I think about in that area is like the implementer knowing the product from tip to tail, so they knew the breadth. It was kind of like they come in. It's not like we're going to just show you how to lay bricks, but hey, we're building a cathedral, kind of that approach. And so that was a big part of it. The other part was their willingness to go there and challenge us on stuff. We want to be challenged. We didn't want someone to just show up and say, oh, that's what we want to do. Great, we'll do that. Like, seriously challenge for the greater good. That was huge.
Because that can only grow everything, right? Guys and audience, just want to say that the last session of this Smart Factory Week is in the next session. And that is maybe even interesting for you guys because it's from Durst Group talking about a label, and I think that is down your alley anyway, right?
It is.
So please welcome if you would like to join. And for the audience, please move over right now. We will be launching in a few moments. And to you, Brad, Jordan, Gert, it was an amazing presentation, and I think it was wonderful. And Gert, you can drink a glass of red wine now because you've done your job really good.
I will. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Morten.
Yeah, thank you. Take care and have a good weekend, right?
Have a good one, guys.
We will. Thank you.